guys, it's Kyra.
It's Dion, what's good?
And today we are here to do a home buying Q&A video. I had mentioned closer to whenever we first moved into our house that we will be doing one. And it's taken us some time to get settled, you know, get kind of used to things, get acclimated with being new homeowners and first-time homeowners. But you guys had been hounding me about doing some sort of Q&A regarding the home buying process. Now, just a quick backstory. If you guys are new to my channel or just seeing my face for the first time, we recently bought and moved into our very first home back in September. And we did a new construction home. So we pretty much created and designed the house to meet our needs. So this Q&A video is going to be based on our personal experience with the new construction home buying process. Now, I'm pretty sure things are a lot different if you do buy an older home. I mean, I feel like there are a couple things I can think of right now that would be a lot different. For example, I had mentioned before that we did not use a realtor. Literally, it was just us. Like, from start to finish. It was just us. We had no help, zero. Well, in prayer, of course. Yeah. But we had no help at all. There was no one to talk us through it. There was no one to walk us through the process. No one that told us what to expect. Nothing. It was literally just us. Yeah. So again, this Q&A will be catered more towards the new construction process.
So she did get a bunch of questions, so we probably will not answer them all, but we're going to get to as many as possible. Within the next 20 minutes. Cool. Or less. Yeah,
hopefully it's going to be a long video. But I definitely do want to, you know, share as much information as we can because, like I said, we did it on our own, and I feel like things that we've learned can be helpful to other people. So, first question that we got is, what's a good down payment for a decent and low mortgage?
Basically, we did some research, and we know that depending on the type of loan you get, whether it's FHA or it's a conventional loan, you are required to put down 5%.
I think like with FHA, like you can get as low as like a 3.5 or something like that.
Probably depending on credit score. But from a general rule of thumb for both loans, I think you should be able to at least put 5% down.
Now, we won't give exact numbers. And the reason why is because everyone's financial situation is different. So like what's affordable to us may not be affordable to someone else. You know what I'm saying? So please keep that in mind because affordability is very subjective to your income. Now, I will say though that for us, I can say that we put down about 10%. And then like, for example, with the question it says for a low mortgage, but again, what's considered low to us may not be low to someone else. So it's all, do what works for your budget. Okay, so next question is, what made you decide on a new build versus buying an existing home?
I'll answer this question. Why? Because she wants all these things that the inventory homes, which is usually what they are. If the home is newly built, new construction, it's considered an inventory home.
Or a spec home. You may have heard it called a spec home before.
Yeah, so any of those two things. And what occurred when we even attempted to look at these inventory homes, she was just like, oh, I gotta have this out. Oh, I don't want this.
I had to change
this
that.
This is crazy. I'm gonna be spending $30,000 to $50,000 more. We might as well just build a home.
I can't lie. And I will say that, y'all, whenever we start the home buying process, originally we were planning on renovating a home. That was literally the initial plan. Then we did a bunch of research and starting about, okay, well, if you buy the home for this price, we're going to change all these things. Then we're going to equal to the price of a new home or even more. So let's do a spec home. And then we toured, I don't know how many homes we toured. We were like, no, because it was like, in every single home, it was like there was something that we want to change. So then that was out. And
something
then
that she wanted to change.
That I wanted to change. It was like either the floors or the kitchen.
It was always the kitchen.
The cabinet color. It was all kinds of stuff. So then I just told him, I was like, so then I had to like work on him to kind of convince him, like, babe, let's just do. No, I'm very particular, but it got to a point where I just was like, babe, let's just do a new home. Just get the things that you want in that house up front from scratch. we don't have to take on any big projects, and let's just be done with it. And mind you that whenever we were building our home, we were in Austin, and I had thought that it would be a lot more difficult to manage a renovation from Austin. So it was just like, it just made the most sense for us. Next question is, how different are your tastes, and how did you settle your differences of opinions? Trust me, I would have preferred Deanna to sit back and be like,
Come
okay,
on.
y'all should have saw us in the design center. The guy who was helping us, I'm sure, was looking at us like, do y'all really love each other? Because we could not agree. I would say that for the most part, we agreed on pretty much everything. The main thing, the biggest thing that we disagreed on was the kitchen. And because for me, I had originally wanted an all white kitchen. Like, I just like light everything. I like natural light. I want a white cabinets, a light black, like a white backsplash, a light
the
marble countertop. That's what I wanted.
That wasn't happening.
Dion wanted dark. Okay, like he was like, I have to have dark something. I want some contrast. Blah blah.
Yes.
So the kitchen is where we compromised the most, is because he actually came up with the idea to do the charcoal gray cabinets. And then we had agreed that if we did the charcoal gray cabinets, then we could do a white backsplash and the marble. Together. You did not put it all together.
It looked good.
No, he said, babe, let's do charcoal cabinets. And then
white
I
backsplash.
found... No, you did not say white.
I did. Even I'm the one who said, lay it in the vertical setting.
Okay. He had the idea in the design center. Yeah, so it ended up all coming together. And so that's a compromise. It was, okay, if we do dark cabinets, then I can do a light backsplash, the light countertop, and light floors. And then that was... And then, what was I say?
I was about to say, after that, everything was smooth.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. Could you explain more on not needing a realtor?
Basically, do you want to put in the work to get what you want? That's it. Like, if you have the time, I would suggest you take a couple hours out of your day and look through thousands of houses online, call some people, read some reviews. And you know what's crazy is that I spend a couple hours, but she spent like weeks and days. Yes, I just wasn't.
I spent weeks. Well, it's because let's be real. I was most particular. So of course for me, I was committed. I would say that if you have a shorter time frame, or like if you're like, I want to move back, like on a time crunch, or if you're like, I want to move in by this date, then I think that a realtor may be more beneficial because it help kind of move the process along faster. But for us, like we weren't really rushing. And we weren't like on a tight time crunch, you know. So for us, it was like we had the time to take a few months to really think it through. Like we visited multiple communities, different parts of town, and I browsed on Zillow like all day, every day, looking at different homes, different builders, seeing what they offer, what's included, what's an upgrade, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's more so it's a matter of, sorry, babe, I'm going to cut you off. No, but fine. I think it's more so it's a matter of, like he said.
Like preference, time, and like what exactly are you looking for?
Yes. Okay, so next question, the savings part. How did y'all go about savings and the savings process? For me, the number one thing that I can say that I cannot stress enough is to live below your means. I feel like whenever we first moved to Austin, we weren't thinking about buying a house at all. That wasn't like our next plan. We actually had planned on after we graduated, we would move downtown and do a whole high rise living, blah blah. So we never really planned on buying a house. But we have always been, especially me, I've always really been big on saving. I just like to have money set aside just in case I ever want to do whatever it is. I never wanted to, with the house situation, I never wanted to get to a place to where it was we decided that we wanted to buy a house and then we have to save for a year, let's do this, but we still have to save for it. For me, it's I'm really big on having money set aside just in case you want to do something, and that way if you want to do it, you can easily just easily do it. So for us, a huge part of what I think that helped us save as much money as we did and so quickly was living below our means. Our apartment in Austin, I'd say was modest. It wasn't the fanciest apartment, but it wasn't it wasn't raggedy or anything like that. It was modest and it was affordable. It was actually cheaper than the apartments that we had been paying for in Dallas. And I have to credit him because whenever we moved to Austin originally, I was like, oh, let's move to downtown Austin. Let's, get a nice apartment, blah, blah, blah. And Dion was like, babe, like, it's just a few years. Let's just go ahead and just, get something that's, affordable, won't stretch us at all. So I will say that Dion's decision a few years ago before we moved to Austin really, really helped us save money because, like, we paid our rent, but we still had a lot more extra money, excess outside of our rent to put away into savings. So to me, that's the biggest thing that contributed to it. And then also kind of just, cutting back unnecessary stuff. Like, for example, last year, I did not get my nails done. The simple things. Like, even last year with traveling, like, we love to travel, but last year, we traveled one time. That was a surprise trip for him. So, it's just...
We only travel one time.
Yeah, and which we never do. So, it's just making small sacrifices for the bigger picture. And then one more thing that I will say is that it's important to have a savings goal. One thing about us is like whenever we kind of start the process, we had knew how much we wanted to put down. Like from day one, we had knew the amount that we wanted to put down on a house. And you have to keep in mind that you have your down payment money, but you also have to have excess to pay for furniture, closing costs, just
not even the
just
furniture
emergency
stuff, like closing.
Yeah, all of that. You have to have, of course, an emergency fund in case you lose your jobs and something happens. Like, so you have to have your down payment money plus months worth of savings just in case something happens. So it's like we have to consider all those things. So like have a number in your mind that you're like, I want to save this amount. I want to put down this amount, and then work your butt off to make, like, literally, it's work, but it's worth it. Okay, next question is basically how to get started. Is it really cheaper to buy versus to rent? Okay, so granted, you guys, we are not financial advisors, so I can't really like say like if it's cheaper or not. And again, it's all dependent on your financial situation.
I would say long term, yes, because it's more of an investment in you all's credit, also your all's future. I would have to back her up on this one too. It kind of depends on, again, square footage, your financial situation.
Exactly.
So it varies per person.
Yeah, it really does vary because it's like, because saying is it cheaper to rent versus buy. You could go rent like the $1,000 apartment, so of course it would be a lot cheaper than buying a house.
But you could find a house.
Yeah,
like $100K, and then rent. Mortgage may be cheaper than $1,000 depending on your percent down. So
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of all.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's different. And like he said, like it's all about square footage, like what you want. I can kind of say just like for us, not giving specific numbers, but I can say that our mortgage is not far off from how much our rent is. That's fair to say, right?
No, yeah, that's really
That's a good way to put it. And we have like over twice the amount of space.
Like 3, almost.
Yeah, almost 3. Yeah. Like way more space. And so I can say that just relatively, our mortgage and our rent at our apartment is not far.
Like
far off, like at all. So just kind of keep that in mind.
We just winning.
Yeah. And then basically how to get started. For us, I think the first step for us is just making a decision that we're going to actually do it. And we're going to commit to the process and work to like get our ducks in a row, like getting our credit together, get our savings up, just prepare mentally for buying a house. And then just start. Just start looking, go to like we didn't do this, but if you're questioning, how much you can afford, things like that, which granted there are apps like Credit Karma to kind of tell you, like your buying power, which is about how much you can afford,
based off of
your income, your credit, your income, your credit, your savings, all that good stuff. And it can kind of give you a gauge as far as the total price of the house you can afford. So, use that, talk to someone about it, and just start looking and get started.
Yeah. Pick something for yourself, go get it, and then just make it happen.
The next question is, what are some things you need to do to prepare for buying a home?
So I would think one of the main things you should be looking at is your credit. Like, even before we were thinking about buying a home, like credit was a big thing. It was like, okay, we need to start getting this stuff done. Yeah. So it won't be a last minute thing.
We started the whole credit
like 2 years before.
Last year. It was the 2018. Yeah. We worked on really get our credit together, and then 2019 is of course when we did the buying process. Now,
but I think we started talking about it. We started talking about credit stuff back in Dallas. I think
Yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
get on it.
Yeah.
We had made
Yeah, we committed to it.
Dallas, but we didn't get on it until we actually moved to
Austin. Yes.
Like how to go about it, what you need to start doing, what credit cards you need to pay off, just different stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just trying to get financially stable overall. It's always good to have money in the bank and savings, but it's even better to look good on paper. If you look good on paper, you got a steady income coming in.
Yeah.
And your credit history is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't see why it would be a big thing for you to get this.
Yeah, your credit is super important, and you also have to remember that your credit not only affects you getting approved, but it affects your interest rate, right?
Yeah.
Which plays a huge part in how much you can afford, right? Because
or how much you're gonna be paying back.
Exactly. Okay, so people focus a lot on, the overall cost of the home, right? So like, let's say it's like $200K, $300K, whatever. We looked at it as, okay, how much we want to pay a month? Like, how much are we comfortable with for our monthly mortgage payment?
So if you lose everything tomorrow,
what are you still
can we come up with this amount of money?
Right.
Like, or at least one of us. Can one of us pay this amount of money and still have everything else done too? So
exactly.
That was where our mindset was.
Yeah. So. And so, of course, your monthly payment is impacted by the interest rate because, if you have a higher interest rate, you're going to be paying more back. And
principal?
Right, yeah, it affects your principal, even your PMI, depending on what kind of loan you have, and so that all impacts how much you can get. So for us, we were like, we want to get our credit top notch because for us, we wanted to get the house that we wanted with no restrictions, but of course for the lowest payment because had we had a higher interest rate, we'd be paying more a month. We may have had to have scaled back. Exactly. So all of that affects what you can afford. So get that credit and that savings in check, y'all. Okay, next one is how long did you save before buying? That's a pretty vague question because we've been saving for since we got married technically. But as far as
in the last 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. The bulk of the money for sure came in the past 2 years because whenever me and Dion got married, we saved, but we weren't as dedicated and or committed to saving. Like we shopped and spent money just on stuff a lot. But I will say that moving to Austin, I don't know, I just we got so much better with our finances, and the bulk of the money that we had in our account on the day that we closed came from the past 2 years. Besides the FHA loan, what are some generally untapped resources?
Honestly, I'm not really even sure. All I know is FHA and conventional.
So just so you guys know, we did do a conventional loan. We did not do an FHA loan. You can Google the differences. I actually did look it up yesterday, just kind of get an idea of how I would answer this question because I saw it come in. And long story short, an FHA loan is geared for people with lower credit scores and who want to pay lower down payments, right? But the con about an FHA loan is that so all loans, unless you pay 3% down payment, has what's called a mortgage insurance, right? Or a PMI. And with an FHA loan, that PMI never goes away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, it never goes away. Yeah, it never goes away.
Well,
However,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. However, with a conventional loan, which is what we did, again, that's geared more for people who have higher credit scores, who are planning to put down a higher percentage. And the good thing about a conventional loan is that once you have paid 20% towards your principal, that PMI payment goes away. There's pros and cons to both. You can just easily Google, though, conventional versus FHA loan and figure out what is best for you and your financial situation. Because that's, again, y'all, it's all about staying in your lane and doing what is best for you. One thing about me and Dion is we are not trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're not trying to impress nobody. We got a house that we can afford, that we love, and that fits our lifestyle, our needs, and that is comfortable for us. Mm-hmm. Very comfortable for us. Okay, the next question is, what percent did you guys save for closing costs? We saved 10%, or we put down 10%. Next question is the cost of building relatively the same as buying a house already built? Kind of answered that, but again, that's all, it's all relative. Yeah, it's all dependent on your personal taste.
Yeah. Some people will find a home a pre-existing home and they do renovations. Depending on the cost of renovations, you may be paying more or less depending on the cost of the home.
Yeah.
Or, however, others may find an inventory home.
Or spec home.
And where you can go in and you can request that the builder comes in and change such and such appliances for no cost.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on what you're working with. Finances.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Everything goes back to the money.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, it's all dependent on your personal financial situation. Yeah. But again, like we said, for us, even though we considered buying a pre-existing home or even a spec home, like, it just didn't make sense because
it wasn't going to have what she wanted.
Well, that, and like, we would have to go in there and change everything, and they would be like, well, you might as well build it from scratch. So
pretty much. So
pretty much. Yeah, don't be real. Okay, next question is, how long did it take the whole process, including saving? The bulk of the money that we had
2 years
saved was 2 years, but again, like, we were never saving for a house. It was just saving just to save, and then we decided to buy a house, and we fortunately already had the money in our accounts to buy it. But as far as the home building process, what, five months? Because I feel like
April.
Yeah, it was April to May, June, July, August, September.
So about 5 months.
Yeah, about 5 months.
Let's just say 6 months to be safe.
Yeah, 5 to 6 months as far as the building process goes. Question, did you have a budget and did you stick to it?
We did have a budget and we undershot our budget.
No, we did not.
Yes,
No, remember when we first started looking, what was our budget was not what we ended up with.
When we first started though. Because
we did not
honestly,
stick to
our budget wasn't realistic when we first started.
We did it. Whenever we first started looking for houses, granted it was before we had actually started looking. So Dion had this number that he was like, he was determined to stick to. Right? He had this number.
Just FYI, like when I have a budget, I will not deviate from that budget. I will literally put something back in the store to make sure I stick to that budget.
He had this number. Again, it was before we had started looking, but he had this number.
And then
we started looking and we were like,
this boo house.
We ain't gonna get. We were like, we ain't gonna get what we want to get with this budget. Because the thing is that we could have stuck to it, but we had to compromise a lot. And we were just like, babe, it ain't gonna work. It wasn't gonna happen. So
it was like basically looking at apartments for sale.
Pretty much.
Well, trying to build a family and everything, it was like looking at apartments.
It didn't make any sense.
Dang, we're not gonna get nothing.
Yeah. So what we did is, instead of looking, so we kind of flipped our mindset. So again, we had this number, we looked around, we were like, this number isn't gonna work. So what we did is, instead of looking at the overall cost of the house, we were like, okay, let's work backwards and figure out the amount that we would be comfortable paying with per month. Per month. Yeah. Right? And then once we did that, of course, we calculated in, an ideal, interest rate, calculate, how much you want to put down on the house, et cetera, et cetera. Then it'll give you, your estimated total house number. And then from there, we worked like that. Yeah. So, and then once we did that,
and
we stayed
through Credit Karma.
Yeah, Credit Karma, and even like Zillow, and like there's like a ton of like online bank websites that kind of have mortgage, all these different tools that you can mortgage tools, things like that.
Give you this information.
Yeah.
To buying power, to how much you want to put down, hypothetically speaking, credit scores, different stuff like that. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. That's the stuff we used to.
And then we did that. We stuck to that. Actually, we ended up paying less than we were planning for.
Yeah, that's
so that really did work. Yeah.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
What are some of the things that you thought you needed but realized that you don't have to get it?
Everything. I literally was like, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, we don't need that. We don't need taller. We don't need elevated sink height.
Yeah. Small upgrades. Like originally, like he had thought at first that he wanted to upgrade to like a fancier shower head for like a couple $100, and then we were like, we can go to Lowe's and get this exact same shower head for $40, which we ended up doing.
And I put it on myself. Actually, it was
and then he did it himself. And then there were like other things, like we were considering like raising the height of our counters in the bathroom, or extending our shower,
and adding a bench in the shower, and
like small things like that. But I will say though that what we ended up with, I think, is it was all things that we were like, okay, we had to have.
We kind of had an idea of what we wanted in advance before going to the design center.
Right.
So once we got there, it was like, we know we want this, but we're not really 100% sure. we want this. So let's just put everything down on paper, and then we can take things away.
That's exactly what we did.
Exactly.
And also it's good because I will say that before we even went in there, we had our list of must-haves and our list of nice-to-haves. Yeah. So all of our must-haves we did, and we even got some of our nice-to-haves, and then some things it was like, we don't have to have this. Okay, here's a good question. Did you pre-qualify for financing, and what does your credit score have to be to purchase? So as far as what your credit score has to be, that varies. I mean, like I said, we're not loan officers, so I can't tell you what your score has to be, and it really does vary from person to person. As far as we pre-qualify, yes, we did. The crazy thing is that I had mentioned whenever we first moved into the house, like I did my vlog, that for us, the whole process for us was like super smooth. But I will say that most people, you know, are more worried about the financing portion of it, and for us, that was hands down that was the easiest part of the whole process. Like picking out the finishes was more difficult than the financing, for sure. Like we put in our application, I think like a Saturday. I heard from the loan officer like a Monday, and then we had been pre-approved by like that Wednesday. And granted, again, it was because we had all of our,
That was like the same day.
Yeah, it was literally, it was super quick. And it was all because we had all of our ducks in a row. Our credit, by the time we had got to that point, our credit was like...
It was nice.
It was, y'all. Our savings, we had already had the amount saved for our down payment. That's super important because whenever you apply for the loan, the bank wants, or whoever is providing the loan, they want to see that you already have your assets in place. So you can't say like, or apply for a loan and say, I want to put down
this amount,
10K or 20K, but you don't have it. You know, they won't believe you because how do they know that you'll have it on the day that you close? So you have to have, you know, whatever you plan on putting down, you have to have that in your account on the day that you apply for the loan. On top of your extra money, because the bank again wants to see that not only do you have money for the down payment, but you have money saved for extra. Yeah. They want you to afford to pay them back, pretty much. Yeah. How did you find the plot to build your home? So how did you find the land to build your home?
We were in the design center, and I was just like, give me the biggest lot you have.
Not the design center, he's in the sales office.
Sales office. Oh, my bad. So we were in the sales office, and I was just like, I want the biggest lot you have. And then he showed me this lot, and then I looked at the price, and I was like, dang, we ain't gonna get that one. Let's give me the second biggest one. So then, like, 24 hours we came back after we decided that we wanted to go with this builder. They had reduced it by 50% or more.
Yeah.
So
it was nothing but God. Yeah. Because what Dion said is 100% true. Like we came look at the model of our home on Friday night. But we were like, let's sleep on it, let's pray on it, let's figure out if this is really the one for us. So that was a Friday night. We went to my parents' house, slept on it, woke up the next morning at like 10 a.m. Granted, less than 24 hours, came back, and that exact lot that we were looking at, because on Friday when we looked at it, it was like way too much money. We were like that's a lot. We loved the lot, but it was like, the lot premium was high. And we were like, we don't pay that much money for it. It's a lot. That's ridiculous. Saturday morning, we came back here to look at it again. And within less than 24 hours, it had dropped in half.
More than half.
Yeah, more than half. And me and Dion was like, oh, that's God. Let's go. Like, we put in our earnest money right then.
Testimony moment.
Yes. Like, that was nothing but God. We were like, yep, it's like it's meant to be. We put down our earnest money right, like that exact second that he told us that it had dropped in price. And we were like, yep, let's do it. And that was it. Next question is, what do you think about upgrades, and are they worth it?
Some upgrades are worth it.
Yes.
So it depends on the upgrades that you want for your home.
All depends on your personal taste, right? And it's all depending on, you know, what you can put up with. For me, there's a lot that I could not put up with. Now, I will say that there are things that we could have done that, like, later on down the line we could have changed out. But I also feel like it's a matter of, do you want to take on those projects?
I think some necessary upgrades are like cabinetry, the staircase, the flooring.
Flooring is so important.
And,
it's so important.
Flooring, and then like your bathroom tiles and different stuff like that. Why?
Yeah.
Because those things like, oh, and countertops. Why? Just because if you're going to sell in so many years, that's less work you have to do to put your house back on the market. So that's what I was thinking. That was my mindset through the whole building process from a seller's mind point. What the less work we have to put into the house so that once it's time for us to sell and upgrade again, like I want to come out less money so we can get more money back.
Yeah. Oh, of course, and also structural changes. Anything structurally, do it up front.
That way it's just done.
Do it up front. Like if you want to, add a room, add a bathroom. If you want to add a sink, just do it. I'm telling you, it's just a headache you not have to deal with. So just do it. One person asked, should we pay everything off our credit before going to apply for a loan? Good credit, but with debt. Again, I'm not a loan officer, so I can't really attest to that. There are certain loans that are not necessarily bad loans, like student loans,
even other mortgages, second mortgages.
Like are not necessarily bad. Now, like credit card debt, things like that, I'd recommend kind of this. I wouldn't say that you have to pay it all off. Again, that's all dependent on like your credit limits and credit score. That's a whole different story. But for us, we wanted to
get it done.
Get it done. Right. And then also keep in mind that whenever you are applying for a loan, your debt to income ratio plays a huge part
in what you can take out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So even though credit is a huge part of it, your debt to income ratio, which pretty much means what is the ratio of what you're bringing in, aka your salary or whatever you make from your business, whatever.
And what's going out.
Yes, and what is going out. So how much are you paying towards your student loans, towards your credit card bills, second mortgages, whatever. That plays a huge
anything.
Yes, that plays a huge part. So in hindsight, I'm sorry, babe.
No, I was just gonna say all those things are gonna factor into what you can borrow.
Yeah.
And then what you can borrow, which is initially gonna affect your buying power and then your mortgage rate.
Right.
And also your interest rate.
Right. So in hindsight, you want that debt to income ratio to be as low as possible.
So you
right?
want to have a minimal going out, but you want to have in a high
compared to what you have going in.
Yeah.
So that's the important part to consider. So now again to the question: do you have to pay everything off?
No.
I think you have to, but if your debt to income ratio is high, then tackle that debt. Like you want it to be as low as possible.
After you save and then you spend the money buying a house, you also have to furnish the home too.
Yes.
A good mindset to have is that if you pay all this stuff off now, it's something less you don't have to pay off later. What
do you know now that you wish you had known in the beginning?
I don't know.
That furniture is expensive.
That's pretty much it.
That furniture is extremely expensive. But I am very, very, very thankful that me and Dion were strategic. And that
she was strategic. She literally already had like her furniture savings.
No, I did. I had y'all. I was serious. Like we had like our down payment money. We had our emergency fund / like additional savings, and then we had a fund just for furniture because me and Dion have bougie taste.
I would say that I don't like that word. So I would just say that our taste is a little bit more on the expensive side.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't believe in just putting anything into
we're not
a house that we put our blood, that we have to pay for.
Yes.
Point blank period.
Yeah,
so.
we're not. Yeah, whenever we moved in here, we were determined not to rush. Like we didn't want to just buy a bunch of cheap stuff just to fill it up. But other than that, like I feel like we did a lot of research ahead of time. So like as far as like bills go. Things like that, like expenses.
Oh, yeah. I hate bills.
We were, of course,
I already had a budget.
Yeah. So we had already pre-budgeted our bills. One thing that I didn't mention any question or that I didn't say with any answer yet was that one thing that also me and Dion are very strategic with is that whenever we planned for a home, we planned on one income, and that was very strategic. We were like, even though we're both working and like we both have good jobs. Our thing was that you never know what's going to happen. And one of us may lose our job. One of us may, get injured. Things happen. And for us, it was very important for us to plan our expenses, and even our whenever we were planning our mortgage payment, like our ideal mortgage payment, that we specifically went off of one income because you never know what could happen. And also, I just feel like so much more at ease and more comfortable knowing that we can comfortably afford our house.
Yeah. So even though your buying power may be great, you don't want to get that $500,000 house.
If you can't comfortably afford it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you can't comfortably afford it. So even like for us, whenever it came to, you know, our process, like, you know, did we get approved for more or could we had afforded more? Yes,
but you want to like.
But you exactly.
You want to take like
it's living below. Yes, it's like living right. It's like living below your means.
Because you're gonna get there.
Right.
You're gonna get there. You just
Exactly.
step by step.
Like we could tap it out and like get this, you know, super extravagant house, but like, do we really need it?
We gonna be over here stressed out.
Right, you're gonna be stressed out with bills and like exactly like working five jobs to pay off our mortgage, or like, you know, then God forbid, you know, one of us gets laid off, and then we like real stressed out trying to figure out, oh, where's it gonna come from? I can't pay by myself, and blah blah. And it's just like, yeah, exactly, and like we did not want to set ourselves up for that at all. Best areas to buy in Houston, subdivision or not? Good question, but that's also very subjective because it really depends on like what part of town. Yeah, y'all know Houston is humongous, okay? So it really depends on what area you're familiar with or that you want to live in.
Honestly, what I would do is that you want to look for an area that's up and coming. So the more stuff you have around it, the more the city is built out, the more the expensive the home is going to be for less square footage. For minimum square footage.
Yeah.
You have a lot of things,
yeah, it's a lot of different factors. Even
plays into it.
Yeah, even things like your tax rate. Like for example, like if you move into like a super nice like master plan community that has like all these different amenities, like a pool, a gym, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Like it's, you know, like it looks nice, but them taxes gonna be
those property taxes.
Them taxes gonna be nice,
make
okay?
Them cheeks, bro.
So like Dion said, like there's a lot of different factors to consider. Also, like the school zone, you know, that makes a huge difference as far as the quality. Not only the quality of the area, but also the house you can get, because you know the schools typically impact, you know, the housing market in that area. And always drive around the area, go visit it multiple times, visit it during the day, at night, you know, on the weekends, during the week, like get to know it and really feel
busy times.
Yeah, busy times, like yeah,
drive time from work. Around the schools,
exactly,
like,
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff played. Flood area.
Yes, especially in Houston. Yeah, make sure you pay attention to if the house, if the house is in a flood zone, because that is a huge deal. Okay, what? I got excited about that.
You're just too much.
Yeah, no, that's also very important to consider. So yeah, you guys, that is it for our home buying Q&A video. Hope you guys enjoyed our perspective as first-time homeowners going through this thing by ourselves. On our own, figuring it out as we go, and just two young people trying to figure it out, make a way, you know.
I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If y'all could just give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and then subscribe to my girl's channel.
Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys!